these superstars. So again, thank you for your time, everybody. And as our panelists exit, we have Miss Victoria Fusco on. She is joining us from Greenville, South Carolina. And we are going to be digging in. We're privileged to have her. She is a leadership coach, trainer, and just a good friend. And she's owned her business now over 10 years, coaching, speaking, marketing extraordinaire. But what gets me about Victoria is when I get around her, she helps me cut through the noise. She helps me take action on what is absolutely going to drive my business and my sales forward. And so, Victoria, welcome. Why don't you say a few words while we get some of these panelists moved to attendees and highlight you on the screen.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here on a Saturday morning. It feels nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so just a little bit about me. Like Tim said, I've been in business 10 years. I actually started when I was 18. So if you can imagine the journey from just being a teenager into adulthood, and then also trying to figure out how to cash flow in a business, and take care of people and stay in integrity and know what to do with the money when I got it. Sales for me was something that I never really formally learned. So I had just to learn trial by fire. And fortunately, I had some pretty great mentorship. And same thing, two-way, both way, where I was able to kind of help and tap into marketing for my mentors, but also they got to teach me a little bit more about sales and how to navigate a conversation in business. So that's kind of my journey. And today we're going to talk about mastering the art of decision making. So what I do now, which is leadership coaching, decision making is the number one thing that you have to be good at, right? So in order to expand your foundation, we have to be able to navigate these obstacles that we come up against quicker and easier. Now, they're not going to go away, right? But we can have the tools and the resources to move through it faster. So if everybody can just write in the chat, has there been any goals that you've already set for 2024? So talking about your business, like if you've already done some 2024 vision setting, go ahead and drop what you've set if you could pick one goal in 2024. And if anybody's brave enough to share, Tim or David, if you guys want to share what your goals are for 2024.
I'm going to share TED Talk. It's been one of those cans, like David said, procrastination, kicking down the road. And for me, it'll stretch me. So I'm going to do a TED Talk, and I'm already working on my audiobook. That'll be done by the end of this year. So that can't be 2024. But Steve Chilton, who's on the line, I saw him in the chat. He told me you got to get an audiobook, and he's holding me accountable this year to do that. So, but anyway, TED Talk. David, what about you?
For me, it's Energy4Sales focus. Really want to begin working on the sales leader, roundtables, the sales leader platform. I think that we can have the most impact across the globe, not just this country, if we can empower and help and teach and guide true sales leadership. So much in sales leadership. You were a great salesperson, you're a top salesperson, they go and put you in a leadership role. And you know, it's a tricky wicket for sure, because it's just very difficult. And sometimes you have the skills, and just maneuvering that and how. So that's what's been exciting to me. It's been something that's been out there in my mind really for 5 or 6 years. Tim and I have talked about with the platform, but
and
I think
happening.
With stronger leadership. And then we have created some planning through the Jones College of Business with Tom Coates to really one of their pillars is outreach to the community and lifelong learning. And so partnering with them on events that bring the community, that tie the community to the campus as well.
Yeah, amazing. We've got some in the chat right here. Market more, spend less, more videos. That's definitely needed. 50% growth. I can't read the whole thing. Balance in order count. Okay. Translate my book into an audiobook. Woohoo. Yeah, you guys are on it. So has anyone thought about how they're going to hit it? Let's talk about habits for a second, right? So think about if you need a new habit, you just need to continue to do whatever habit you're already doing, right? You already might be in that kind of goal setting, is it's already happening. Or do you need to get rid of a habit? Everybody knows what habits are, right? Just things that we repeat and subconsciously or consciously choose to prioritize. So do I need a new habit, sustain a habit, or do I need to get one out the door and I need to delete it? So you can write that in the chat. Just own it. You don't have to tell me what habit it is if you don't want to. New habit. Got it. I know I've got a list of new habits I think I need to implement for this new year.
I need to get back to a habit. Is that
Yeah.
is that considered new?
It's like, yeah, we could call it new. Do you want to share what habit it is?
Just morning routine.
Mm.
Morning routine. Every the most successful day I've had in moving the ball forward towards my goal has always been when I got up and crushed my morning routine.
Yep.
And traveling, things, kids, you know, that gets off and life gets off. So
if only life didn't happen, we could all be so successful, right? If only. Awesome. All right. So speaking about foundation, how I like to look at this is really going to create a solid foundation to which you build and sustain the growth that you're creating in 2024. So when we talk about habits, it's really important because I kind of touched on it earlier. When you think of a habit, I don't want you to think, oh, I have to do this thing. It's what am I going to choose to prioritize over the thing that I'm doing out of comfort? What am I going to choose to prioritize over the thing that I am doing out of comfort? So let's take Tim's morning routine. I'm the same way, right? I'm working on that right now. Am I going to choose to sleep in? Am I going to choose to hit the snooze? Am I going to wake up, but I'm not really going to do anything? I'm kind of just going to sit there. What needs to happen to create that better habit? And here's the other thing too. How can I reward myself? Because we're all like that dog. Did anybody learn about that dog science experiment in high school where they ring the bell and then they get a treat? So think of yourself like that. When you're trying to do a new habit, it's going to close the gap on resistance for you if you can provide some kind of treat, right? So the morning, maybe it's a good coffee. Maybe you use your best creamer. I don't know. Maybe you like to go for a walk. Do you want to have a good breakfast in the morning? Whatever it is that you can reward yourself with, you're going to see that you're going to be able to implement that habit and choose it easier, especially in the morning when you wake up. Okay. So we're going to walk through some action items. So if you have a notebook, make sure that you pull it out. We're going to go through 5 touch points today. And by the end of this, you're really going to have a good vision for 2024, how to navigate obstacles and how to understand how can I make a better decision every time I come up to an obstacle. So number 1 is set the vision. Okay. So think of that goal that you kind of are really trying to achieve in 2024. Some of you have already written it in the chat. I want you to just write that goal up at the top. And then I want you to think about your vision. Has anybody here ever read Vivid Vision? Tell me in the chat. Put it in the chat if you've read it. No?
I haven't.
If you haven't, put it on your list. And I'm blanking on who it's written by right now because I've listened to an audiobook because I also am undiagnosed ADHD. And I need to walk and read and listen. I can't sit still for too long. But if you haven't read that, write it on your book list, Vivid Vision. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the course of a destination of where we want to go. Now, obviously, we can set all the goals in the world that we want to, but like Tim mentioned, life happens and we have to get off track. We have to be able to pivot and be flexible with what that looks like. So I want you to take away any kind of numerical, goal and really strict box. And I want you to just blur it and make it a destination. Think of yourself on a ship and you got to pick an island, right? Doesn't matter what part of the island you land on, but I just want you to see an island and a palm tree. What does that look like for you? And you can share if you're brave, but you don't have to.
I put that link to the book in
Yay.
the chat, by the way.
Thank you. Great book. I read that often. So every time I go to do any goal setting, I have to read that book.
And what was the exercise we're envisioning?
You're envisioning the island. So I know you wrote your goal, so I want you to write your goal. And most of us pick a numerical goal, right? It's very tactical. So I want you to blur it a little bit and see it as an island. You can land anywhere on the island that you want. That way you're able to give yourself grace when life happens. Because what often happens is we set such a strict goal in our brain where we're like, I want to double my revenue next year or double my sales or whatever that is for you. And then we come short of it. And what do? We beat ourselves up, right? And then it's harder because we're kind of pushing ourselves down the ladder a little bit more. So we have more to climb back up. So instead, let's give ourselves a little grace and make it more flexible. So set your vision. And then I want you to write down, what are my healthy constraints? And these are the conscious choices of a new boundary. How do I not want to grow? Again, giving yourself grace, opening the box so that you can better identify if something is for you or if it's not for you. So let's say your vision is you just want to increase sales, right? You kind of expanded it a little bit. How do you not want to get there? I'll give you an example. For me and Hugs and Hustle and what we do, I don't want to work with anybody who wants 1 or 2 sessions to hit their goals, because I work in leadership and communication and soft skills. We all know that doesn't happen overnight, right? So for me, moving forward, I don't want clients who are quick. I want long-term clients. So when someone comes to me and they're like, can you give me 2 or 3 sessions? Nope, doesn't fit within my vision that I've set for the company, right? Makes it easy to navigate. So can anyone think of any healthy constraints right now that kind of popped up in your head that are going to help you hit your goals? And you can write it in the chat or talk to me.
Jot it in the chat. And Victoria, while people are jotting the chat, how do I not want to get there?
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I've not had that take on this before. How do I not want to get there?
Yeah. It allows for flexibility, and it allows for you to just make a quicker decision. So instead of trying to fit someone in a box, you can just say, well, you can't hop on this train. You know, instead of putting them in a seat, you can just say, well, we're going this way. This is where my island is. And you don't fit that, and that's okay. Right. And so when
Victoria,
you think about, go ahead.
I was with a company once, a very successful company, and our goal was to make it easy. And so the more you make it easy for your clients, the more they want you to do things. But our litmus test internally was that if we could not make, like if someone came to us, I wish you guys did this.
Yeah.
If we determined we could not make it easy for us and for them, it was a no. We would find someone for them, we would help them, but we were not going to, our goal was not to make everything easy.
Yes.
There were certain things that were great ideas, but a lot of them were areas that we were not. The litmus test was, can we do this easy for us and make it easy for them? And it was most of the time that definitely that first thing, could we do it? Could we make a difference? Could we make it easy? And we just wouldn't do it.
And it's funny too. Go ahead, Tim.
Well, no, when we talk about expanding our foundation, it usually comes down to a new skill, something. I mean, most everybody's goal here is something they're not yet doing. And it reminds me of adding an addition on a house. Like, your house is only this big. And if we're grabbing market share, growing at market share, it's like, hey, our house is this big. Where's the addition going? And then somebody's got to, at some point, get the digger and start digging dirt. And that commitment, and that it takes a phone call you have a lot to do, but then how do you not want to get there? So for instance, to bring this back to sales, if I want to do videos, if I want to get more on video, then how I don't want to get there is something so complicated, or paying a ton of money before I've seen people pay huge amounts, have this company come in, shoot all these videos, and they never push them out or execute on them. So
it's like getting a branding photo shoot. You get a branding photo shoot, you use one headshot out of the whole thing. Just hire someone for 10 minutes, get the headshot, you know?
There's some great comments and perspectives in the chat. a few
I
that
don't want to grow by giving up important family and personal time. Need to work smarter, not harder and longer. Aaron, thank you for that. Erica said, I don't want to get there by working with people who are not invested in their own business. So I love the question, because now I'm starting to see, Victoria, I can now, okay, how do I gauge earlier on if they're invested in their business? How do I, in the sales conversation earlier on, ask them to send me something that if they don't send it, I won't start working for them, because I need a trigger. I need their investment. I need their buy-in. Wow. Okay, here we go. Wow.
Yeah. So just identifying qualifications, right? Because we want to make sure that we're qualifying everybody that we work with. Because here's the thing. In this day and age, anybody can make a business, and everyone has a business, and everyone's doing all the things. A lot of people have access to information now to really do anything they want besides be a brain surgeon. But I don't know, maybe that's a thing in some parts of the world, who knows? But that level of awareness of the world has elevated, which means you as an expert, as a professional, it is your due diligence to make sure you stay in training and make sure that you understand how to be more specific. The days of doing all are gone. You have to make sure that you really focus in. And again, focus in, but keep it blurred. Set that vision. Don't keep yourself in a box. Identify the island and just know, as long as you hit it on some way, you can get out of the boat and walk on the island and figure it out from there, right? We have Jennifer. I don't want to
great
work
point.
with people who are mean-hearted. And identify that, Jennifer. Dive deeper into that. What does mean-hearted mean for you? Because that'll, depending on everybody's different perceptions, it's going to mean different for different people. So identify, how can you see immediately if someone's got a little mean heart that you don't you don't even want to go down that path. Pull your past experiences. Have you had past clients or friends or family that displayed these type of red flags that you can identify better for future navigation to make it easier? So after that, I want you to identify, what is my new standard? So this is a reframe of a habit. Now, a standard, according to Google, which I kind of meshed two versions of this, but an idea or thing used to measure a level of quality. So I don't want you to think habit, because habits, I think, is, people go habits and they're like, oh God. Standard. What is my new standard of success, right? How do I achieve these things? And it's just diving in. What are the qualifications? How can I identify what this actually means to me to make it easier for future self? We just want to make things easier for future self. Like if I'm going out with friends, you know what I do before I leave? I make my little bed, I put my glass of water, maybe I leave out an Advil or something so that future self can come home and is prepared, right? So if you think of it like that, think of yourself in 2024, how can I best prepare myself? So standard, an idea or thing used to measure a level of quality. Reframe habit to standard. Number 2, the big reason why we're here this morning, decision-making question. So now you've set your vision, you understand your healthy constraints, and you know this new standard that you're setting yourself to. One question. Is this getting me closer to or further from my vision? There is no other question that you need to ask, ever, in any circumstance. If you are ever in a place where it is not, you cannot place it easily, you just need to ask, is this getting me closer to or further from my vision? Now, going back to this boat analogy, when you think of being in a ship, you're on the water, neutrality is not stagnant. Neutrality, if you stop rowing, where are you going? You're going with the tide. You are no longer in control of where your boat is going. So if it is not pulling you forward to that vision, it's taking you back. There's no neutrality, right? So I want you to write that down. Is this getting me closer to or further from my vision? Period. Only question. If you take anything from today, just take that, put it up on your wall or something, write it on your whiteboard. I have tons of things on my whiteboard. I need to erase them and just write that. Okay. What's coming up for anybody? Does anybody want to, has anything kind of popped up for you on that?
Well, while people are typing, I mean, closer to, further from, I'll get to that. Like that comes up, I'll get to that. That's further from. I'll get to that is further from. So, okay, if you get to that, then why not now?
Do without
What do you
delay.
need to do now? What's the next what's the next small pull on the oar to get me closer to the island? So there's several big things, and Parfin mentioned this earlier, is the big things that move my business forward, that expand, that I say these are going to move me closer to the island. Prioritize those before anybody else gets a piece of your day. Just if they're the new standards that are going to get you closer to expanding your business, growing your sales foundation, excelling, learning a new skill as a sales professional, do that beginning of the day before anybody else gets you. That's, and because if I don't, when I don't, and I kick the can out to later in the day, it all, you know how it goes, it all explodes. And then it just goes and it just keeps going. And before long, you get disgruntled, you've knocked yourself down mentally, and
absolutely,
and we quit.
That's why
Easy
Tim and I
to
meet
lose.
first thing. We meet first time in
Go
the
ahead.
first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Tim and I.
Just get
Easy
it
to
over
lose
with.
focus and overload our schedules. The things that are important to our vision tend to get lost in the busy. Yep.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Andrew.
Well said. So now we're going to talk about how to stay the course. One word: commit to it. What am I committed to? Am I willing to do what is required? And be radically honest with yourself. It is okay to say, no, you know what? I'm not in my season of waking up early. That's okay if you want to admit that, but own it, right? As a professional, we have to own it. If we lie to ourselves and we fluff it up for ourselves, we never get anywhere. We don't make any forward traction. We're just running around the world slightly tilted to the right? We're moving a lot. We've got Flintstone feet, but we're not actually moving forward. So just be honest with yourself. You don't need to announce it on Facebook and start a new business around it, right? But we do need to commit to ourselves and set that standard. I am committed to, right? Everybody talks about manifesting. You don't have to say, I'm already doing this. We know we're BSing ourselves. Say, I am committed to. What are you committed to? So standards of operating. And again, this work alone creates a solid foundation to withstand that weight of future success, like we talked about. Expanding your foundation, right? Making sure that it is solid so that when we build things, it doesn't crumble underneath us. Is anybody in construction or has ever been in construction? I've got friends that they always laugh when I talk about that because they go straight to the home building like you were talking about, Tim. Okay.
It takes forever. It takes forever. Foundation. You don't see anything for a long time, and then boom! Oh, that building! Wow! It's like, but it took 3 years. Ground settling, digging, rebar, pouring. I mean, that's what today's about: is digging deep. I'm digging deep. I'm
awesome.
I'm like, oops. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're like, ouch. Yep. But I'm doing it. It's on paper.
It's good.
So number 4, we're going to identify the obstacles. So I want you just on your paper to list out any obstacles you can foresee happening, trying to hit your vision, right? And as they come up, these problems, it's always good to make a problem list just so we have awareness. Awareness is key, right? If you have any quick potential solutions, just write them next to it. Easy, easy. So identifying obstacles. This is very important because the body can't go where the mind hasn't been.
So Victoria, these can be internal and external. Most would probably be external, I would imagine.
Yeah. Yes. Especially if you've got kids, if you've got animals, if you've got different things going on in your life, maybe you're juggling a couple different jobs. If you can foresee any obstacles coming up, then you can. And you can even go as far as to when do these obstacles normally come up so that you can better prepare for timing. Okay. So now I'm going to go over the Hugs and Hustle conflict resolution framework. So this is going to be very important that you write down and you remember. It's very simple, but it'll help you, again, not just make better decisions, but better navigate, again, those obstacles that you come to. You can get around them quicker, which is all what we want to do because obstacles are inevitable in life, and especially in business and sales. If you can guarantee anything, it's that there will be problems. So the conflict resolution framework, and this is for internal, it's for external, and you can take this and zhuzh it however you want to zhuzh it for your life that feels better. So 3 things. Number 1, I want you to ask yourself, is this a people or a task problem? Now, if this is an internal question, you can say, is it a me problem? Am I having an emotional obstacle? Am I not staying committed? Right? Am I not holding to my new standard I've set? Is it a people or a task problem? And I think in boxes, so this really helps me just to place things, right? Number 2, is it a feeling or is it a fact? Not to discredit your feelings because they are real, but stripping the emotion out of it and saying, do I feel this way, right? If I'm going to assume Tim thinks this about me, well, have I talked to him about it? Have I asked him? Is it a fact yet? Right? So feeling or fact. And then number 3, whether this is with you or your team, come up with 2 solutions that you think are going to solve the problem. If you are bringing this conflict resolution to someone else, put the ball in their court and you have them give you 2 solutions, which will remove you from the center of a codependent work environment. If it's for external, if it's internal, just going to get your brain thinking. You ask your brain a question, it will answer. So number 1, is it people or task? Number 2, is it a feeling or a fact? And number 3, what are the 2 solutions I need to weigh? And I just need to pick one, right?
Fantastic. You know,
That's all I got for you today.
I love that you ended with that. Yeah, and I know you people invest a lot of money working with you through those things right there, those 3 questions right there. So thanks for sharing the framework. And I'll put it out there if anybody on this call, you know, wants to get in touch with Tori and work through this or work with her. I'm just going to shamelessly plug for her. I have worked with her in the past. Obviously working with her on this project, and I've learned so much. Tori, what I find most is when you start listing the obstacles of what's getting in the way of the vision. You know, there are people oftentimes in our lives or in the boat with us, they're rowing in an opposite direction. So we are, and we've never talked to them about it. We're building this internal resentment towards them, or we're just frustrated, or we just give up, and then they're trucking all the opposite direction. So we're in life together. Like Simon Sinek says, we're big, messy balls of human emotion, and other people are too. And you have marriages or, you know, relationships, or you have schedules, or you have commitments, or you've been a people pleaser so long that you've said yes to too many things. So to be able to go handle conflict, this is a simple framework, and it can really allow us to move our boat closer to the island. If we can go have those difficult conversations, but first go through people or task, which is great, by the way, check my ego at the door. Is it feeling or fact? And then come up with 2 solutions and go present those, or go ask somebody for 2 solutions. Thank you for that. Wow, David.
Yeah. So the last point, Victoria, takes me way back as far as having solutions. I was 22 years old. My first manager, on his desk that faced you, like you sat there, he was back there, was a little sign that you could read that says, if you come to me with a problem without a solution, you have a complaint, and nobody likes a complainer. And that stuck with me since 22 years old. Like, because you come into his office to share something that's going on, and you look at that, it's like, oh, okay.
Wow.
We're all adults, right? We've all been through things and experiences, and we're all capable of navigating problems. And so is your team. Yeah. So are people around you. They are very capable, but some people have just given that power away for so long that maybe it's you that needs to show them that they have it and they're allowed to make decisions.
Fantastic. Thank you again, Victoria, for being with us. I know we're right up here at 9:30. I felt like that was about an hour, and you packed that in like 25 minutes. I mean, it's very good. I mean, I took a page full of notes and gonna highlight a few of those keywords, but commit to. So thank you.
Thank you so much
for committing to us and giving us your time this morning. So we'll go to a short break here. Everyone can get a resplash on the coffee. and or hit the restroom if you, like me, have drank coffee and a huge glass of water already this morning. So we'll take a quick break. David, any
Thanks,
closing thoughts?
Victoria. Just thanks, Victoria. That was so powerful. Hugs and Hustles is very deep, and to be able to capsulize it and add such tremendous value in that 25 minutes was masterful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So thank you. Well, we're going to go to a quick break. On the screen is our YouTube channel where all of the recordings from today will be housed. So as we're at break or coming back from break for a few minutes, scan the QR code, get registered or subscribed, and then we'll be back here in just a couple of minutes with Jeff Bajork, who's joining us now. And again, Victoria, thank you so very much. Parvati, I may have messed up the whole music sharing, so we'll leave the screen up. But David, feel free to talk to Jeff for a minute. I'll hit the men's room and I'll be right back. You're muted, David.
Thank you. I actually have a sign for that. I'll find it over here. That time I didn't know I was muted. Jeff, thanks for joining us.
Morning.
Good morning. If you're not connected to Jeff, you need to. His weekly blog is so powerful. I will copy and paste it and send it to the team. Last week's, particularly last Saturday, Sunday, I forget what day it comes in. I should know. Was straight into the point. In fact, someone that was on my team that's on a different team now, I sent it to him. He goes, "Ouch!" It's speaking the truth. So can't wait for that.